another video review. This video I literally just finished watching, and I ran upstairs, jotted down some brief descriptives and details on the movie, which we're not going to get too much into the technical aspects or box office or anything like that, but I was home alone. My wife went to the store with the kids, and I turned on the cable TV, which, by the way, cable costs $75 a month, and I'm going to be moving soon, and I do not think I will be able to afford it in my new place. So I'm watching all the Turner Classic movies that I still can while I could afford it. So this particular movie, it came out in 1956, starring James Mason, one of my favorite actors of the era, and Walter Matthau is in it as well. He plays the coworker, and the wife is played by Barbara Rush, who is 95 years old and still alive, and she's a babe. I love that 50s housewife vibe with the updo hair and the high-waisted skirts and collared shirts. That sounds so chauvinistic of me. I apologize. Anyway, the movie is called Bigger Than Life, and it was directed by Nicholas Ray, who a year prior to this movie, one of his most famous directorial movies was Rebel Without a Cause that came out in 1955, James Dean. Never seen it, by the way. I believe Natalie Wood is in that movie too. Anyway, this particular movie is about drug addiction, and I watched it, like I said, on Turner Classic Movies, and Ben Mankiewicz did his little commentary afterwards, and they said it was kind of like pulling back the curtain of 1950s America, like kind of everyone the happy days type of vibe, where like everything's just like very post-World War II, everyone's happy, a wife, two kids, and a cat in a two-car garage type of thing. And the main character, James Mason, plays this school teacher, and the character's name was Ed Avery, and he's just like a pillar of the community. This whole movie looks like it was filmed in a Hollywood backlot neighborhood. But he had some kind of inflammation of the arteries and was in constant pain, and they said he was going to die. But then I guess cortisone had just came out at the time, which I know people that have had like really severe arthritis, and they get cortisone injections in their joints, their knees, to help with the pain, and it helps with inflammation. But I started looking up the side effects, and it is not good to be on cortisone long term. It is very hard on the body. So in 1956, when this movie came out, I guess it was kind of a new thing, and they didn't really talk about the side effects. They're just like, hey, it's this new drug and it's going to help you. Otherwise, if you don't take it, you're going to die. So he gets on the drug, and then he starts having these psychotic episodes, and the whole movie just kind of plays out from there, where he's kind of going down a dark path of odd and insane behavior where his wife and kid are terrified of him. And it was a very dark movie, but it was one of my favorite eras of cinema because of, I feel like James Mason was like a big player in 50s films. Growing up, I always remember him in like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And one of my favorite movies, he plays the villain in North by Northwest. But he kind of has that whole transatlantic accent thing going on. He's obviously English, but like, he's just like, I feel like his character was like the same in a lot of movies just because he has that whole James Mason way. And I recently watched like that late 70s Stephen King TV movie, Salem's Lot, and he's in that movie too. And he just kind of has this vibe. If you know James Mason movies, he has a vibe. And I feel like he kind of carries that through a lot of his roles. But it was an intense part. He plays a good intense character in that movie of a guy kind of losing it. And I think this period of films is one of my favorite. CinemaScope, the way they did color films and the way they did lighting and everything. And it's just very similar to like, I like that look of that period of time of motion pictures. And my mom talks about it too. Like this movie of films, the late 50s, maybe even the early 50s, the color films had a very specific look. But this movie's surprising because it's very dark, but then it's kind of filmed kind of like a sitcom, Leave It to Beaver type of a vibe, with obviously it came out in the 50s and they dress a certain way and the furniture and everything is a certain way and it's just very clean cut. The milkman's coming to the door. And Walter Matthau plays the gym teacher at the public school that he's a school teacher at, the James Mason character. He's one of my favorite actors too. It's just an overall great movie. And Ben Mankiewicz was saying it wasn't really popular when it came out in the day. Another one of my favorite films of the era, this one's black and white, also dealing with drug addiction, came out a year after this, 1957's A Hat Full of Rain. Highly recommend that film if you can pick up a copy of that and you're interested in watching a movie about drug addiction. Because like you think of the 50s, you don't really think about that, but you know what? It goes on no matter what time period. And I kind of like movies like that kind of shed that part of life where it's like, this guy's in trouble. Is he going to get out of it? Another one of my favorites is The Lost Weekend. Ray Milland, Best Picture winner from the 1940s. Also dealing with alcoholism and addiction. So there's a whole little gamut of movies from the past that are dealing with addiction. And another one that comes to mind that came out in the 30s, kind of dealing with prohibition, is called The Wet Parade. That's a good movie, talking about the effects of alcoholism. Anyway, this movie, for me, let's go down the list of what other people gave it. It's 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes, 90%. Google users, 88%. And you know what? Me, I am going solid, and I know I've been giving these out like easily lately. I gave Empire Strikes Back in my last review 5 out of 5, and you know what? I'm going 5 out of 5 on Bigger Than Life as well. Great film and great acting. Love the time period. It was like stressing me out and had me at the edge of my seat. Cause like, you know, I've mentioned this in other movie reviews in the past. Some older movies don't hold up for me, but I guess that's just any movie, right? Some movies are great, some are not. Ben Mankiewicz was saying on the TCM discussion that it's like I'm top 100 movies of the 50s that you must watch. I'd never even heard of it. And I just happened to turn on the television and it was already like 15 minutes into the movie, but it was like, I didn't feel like I missed any pivotal part of it. I'll have to go back and try and find a copy of this and watch the first 15 minutes and see if I missed out. Anyway, folks, that's it for tonight. Let me know if you've seen this movie and what your thoughts are on it. No one ever comments, but I always want to try and garner discussion. That's basically what this channel is all about. Until next time, we will see you then.